tall skyscraper residential units. If you're on foot, you can walk through this area. There's a little city park among them. Now, all the buildings have a name. But let's focus on the brand new one under construction, because you don't need me to tell you, you're talking about spectacular work of modern architecture. Ahead, right? The Vista Towers. There are 3 towers altogether here. When completed, the Vista Towers will be our city's 3rd tallest building. How about this distinction? You are looking at what will be the tallest building in the world, designed by a woman. A young woman from the Chicago area, Ms. Jeannie Gang, G-A-N-G. She's the best. Anybody among us live in Chicago? Who's from Chicago here? Anybody? I'll give you a break. Well, I can say anything. Oh, wait a minute, they're hiding. Who is that? You live in the city. What neighborhood? Is that silence? No, I can't hear. What? Gold Coast. Okay, I'll speak slowly. Welcome. One of the main Gold Coast is just north of Streeterville. Michigan Avenue on the east side. That is the Tribune Tower. It is neo-Gothic in its style, but it's empty. It was originally completed back in 1925. It is a landmark office building, but no longer. It's being converted to residential condominiums. $700,000 to $7 million is the price range. I can tell you this with a degree of confidence: the projected tour guide population there will be quite low. Did you say there's a fail? Well, the lock has been here since 1938. The gates themselves are fairly new, about 5 or 6 years old. So a few years back, we often have one big fail, and then the operator is
probably not.
Oh my God, you can put the flyer on it. Okay, this is Lake Michigan, of course, we're heading out into. It is one of the 5 great freshwater lakes. Freshwater, right? No salt. If at any point you're feeling a little uncomfortable, one of the rules, stay away from the tour. Say, one of the original sections of Navy Pier is on your left here. I'm talking about the green roof for a bit. Let me point out a couple of things. One is what is called the break wall. If you look to your left, you may have noticed already, there's a concrete wall here sticking out of the water. One purpose: it breaks the waves here. Is that mine? I spilled it? Thank you. It breaks the waves. There's no tide here in Lake Michigan. Fit it out for 4 years, about $80 a month. We got married, they held the wedding here. It's originally the Sears Tower, dating back to 1974. When it was completed, there was the tallest building in the world. Today, at 110 stories and 1,454 feet, it's the tallest in Chicago. And it is officially the Willis Tower. By the way, marathoners, you will begin and end your run tomorrow in Chicago's formal front yard. To the right. Oh! You better leave there. Okay, a little class here for a minute. The original source of this river is the North Branch, to some degree today. It would flow south. When it gets to the junction, you'll see the junction about 1.25 miles west. Well, originally that flow would be from the north to the junction, and then the natural flow of this river, Chicago River, would be to turn east and empty out here in Lake Michigan. That is the way it is supposed to be. Well, in our early history, the city is growing and it's treating this river like a sewer. Raw sewage. Industrial waste. Great. Gets a little busy on this narrow sidewalk. Building in 1930. Sometimes I'm quite surprised. You see this young man? Now he's an intelligent looking fellow. Are you with him? Do you didn't hear him? This guy just said those were the good old days. That's the guy. No, he did not say it. I always pick on somebody I'm sure they can speak English. I've done it. Everybody's laughing and the poor fella. Good sport, I hope. Thank you. He did not say that. Say, when you brought it, you were standing in front of an icon. I'm talking about the Wrigley Building ahead, right? The Wrigley Chewing Gum Candy Company were the architects, the developers. The architects, Graham Anderson, Probst and White. But they were the developers. Now Wrigley's still in business, but not here. You know that building's best seen after dark? Because since its first day, it is brightly lit with floodlighting that reflects off the fireproof terracotta. Neoclassic, another term that applies, is French Beaux-Arts, B-E-A-U-X. It's a very decorative architecture represented. A landmark, the Wrigley Building, 1922 and 24, 2 buildings. There's an architectural firm known as Skidmore, Owings & Merrill, SOM for short. Prolific architects, to say the least. And working for them at the time is a gentleman by the name of Adrian Smith, a Chicagoan. He's the architect of Trump Tower. Now, Trump Tower is a hotel and condominiums. It's 10 years old. But Adrian Smith is the lead architect for the world's tallest building. Tell me the name of the world's tallest building. The Burj Khalifa, known as the Burj Dubai. By the way, it is twice as tall as this. So picture this with another one on top. Last summer, I and 5 other colleagues spent 2 hours with Adrian Smith. For an aficionado like me, that was like graduate school, spending two hours with a fellow like that. Adrian Smith, tallest building in the world. Trump Tower, 10 years old. Now remember I mentioned Mies van der Rohe? The last building that very influential architect designed is ahead right. And this is an example of the international style. Your steel box, tinted windows, and I-beams. I'd say the 1950s, 60s, into the 70s, this is a dominant style in many parts of the world for commercial architecture. This one is the American Medical Association building. It was completed in 1973. Today, it's also home to the Langham Hotel at its base. If you want to get an atmosphere, first class, and a cocktail, the Langham Hotel, one of a number of spots. Now, an architectural style unto itself, ahead right, Marina Towers. Ironically, designed by Chicago architect Bertrand Goldberg. Mr. Goldberg was a longtime colleague of van der Rohe, but he clearly rejects the minimalist style of modernism, designing what he called a city within a city. 2 60-story concrete towers, 18 stories parking, 40 plus stories, condominiums. Marina City. This is the first residential properties ever built on the river, 1960s. Anybody been to Dick's Last Resort here, this place? Let me describe Dick's. This is a casual restaurant with a capital casual. The wait staff will abuse you. They throw toilet paper all over the place. You go there, then you'll see. Hey, how about this? Why is it when you're in a boat that people love waving at us? Becker, 1990, pretty attractive office building there. Postmodern. By the way, I'm often asked, so I'm going to mention it. Looking straight ahead, right? There's a building clad in green terracotta and 24 karat gold trim. That building today is the St. Jane Hotel. More recently, it was the Hard Rock Hotel. But back in the 1920s, it was office space. 1926, the St. Jane Hotel. All right, as we're coming back, there's a building to the right with a little anecdote to go with it. The Jewelers building on the right. How about this? It's 1926. A jeweler can pull into this building with his automobile. There was an elevator there that took the jeweler, the vehicle, and his valuables to the office floor, avoiding the mean streets of the city. The Jewelers building. Now I had right, some of these older buildings were office buildings from the 1920s. They've been converted to boutique hotels. The newest, it says London House there. That's in addition to the building to its left. The 1920s office space. Today, the London House, owned and operated by Hilton. And as you can see, people are up there. There's a cocktail lounge at the top. I don't know about you, I'm tired.